CGC reveal, we got an awesome box right here. All right, guys, what is up? We're doing a CGC reveal. I've got 10 slabs, hot off the presses, fresh out the mail, back from CGC. And I'm telling you what, this box is a banger. I'm not sure that I'm disappointed in any of these, maybe one, but for the most part, I'm really excited about these returns. There's some really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to look at this first one, and we have a Sports Illustrated Presents, and this is Chauncey Billups, New Era. So let's talk about this for a minute. We got a CGC 9.2. So this is from 1997. All right, and you can see it is the Pro Basketball annual issue for 97-98. So Sports Illustrated did a lot of these like annual issues for basketball, football, and baseball. They did a lot of these in the mid to late 90s. So I want to say like around 95 was the first time they started doing it. And they only did it for a few years. I think they only did it through like 98 or 99. But there were lots of different covers. So like, for example, I should have pulled this up ahead of time, but this 97-98, Chauncey Billups was not the only one. Okay, there were a lot of different ones that they released this year. Okay, I found what I was looking for. So yeah, it looks like the last year that Sports Illustrated did this was 1998 for the baseball issues. And it looks like they started in 1995. So they only did this from 95 to 98. And yeah, like I was saying, there were multiple different covers. So for this 97-98, I'm seeing that there was a Shaq, there was a Patrick Ewing, there was a Grant Hill, there was this Chauncey Billups. A couple of these don't even have photos. It looks like one had Bobby Hurley. It looks like one had Mookie Blaylock from the Hawks. And let's see, this one had Hakeem Olajuwon. These are all the same magazine, the 97-98. There's one with Allen Iverson. I've actually looked for that one before. It's a really sweet cover. Who else? We've got a Gary Payton. We've got man, there's a lot. Dang, I didn't realize how many they did for just this one year. You've got a Juwan Howard, a Glenn Rice, a Penny Hardaway, a Damon Stoudemire, I don't even know who is that. Who's that for the Blazers? You've got Kenny Anderson. There's a Michael Jordan, of course. There is, who's this one right here? Oh, Reggie Miller. There is only a couple more. Bryant Reeves was on one. Karl Malone was on one. And man, there's Tim Duncan, and then it looks like this is the last one. And then there is okay, Gary Payton, already said that one. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then on the previous page, it was 14, 16, 18, 19. There were 19 different covers. Man, we talk about variants a lot on the weekly issues. Let's talk, 19 variant covers on this annual basketball issue. You want to talk about rare and hard to find. So this is a Pop 1. It is the only cover that's ever been graded. I also searched. I've never seen another raw copy sold in the past 2 years. Not one up for sale right now. So I know I just kind of rambled for a long time naming off all those other covers, but that's pretty wild. These annual issues, I think, are a little bit underrated from 95 to 98. And so what I really love is that Sports Illustrated did some nice labeling for me right here, and they put first Chauncey Billups cover, which is awesome. And this is actually the only time that Chauncey was ever on any Sports Illustrated cover, which is actually a little surprising to me, considering he was the finals MVP the year that they won the NBA title. And what was that? I want to say that was 05, maybe 04, something right around there, because they beat the Lakers. They beat the Lakers team with Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton. But he was never on the cover. He was never even on a Sports Illustrated Presents cover, like a commemorative issue with the Pistons. This is his only cover. And, Chauncey Billups, not like a major guy or anything, but I do think, and I'm going to stand by this, I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, so he was a 5-time All-Star, 2-time All-Defense. He was an NBA champion. He was a Finals MVP. He's known as Mr. Big Shot. He only played in 51 games with the Boston Celtics. That was his rookie year. Then he was traded at the end of that season to the Raptors, and he only played a handful of games with them. And he went on to spend 8 seasons with the Pistons. That was his longest tenure. He also spent some years with the Nuggets. He's been a Hall of Fame nominee every year since 2018. Hasn't gotten inducted, but he's been a nominee. In high school, he was a 3-time Mr. Basketball in the state of Colorado. His number 4 jersey is retired at the University of Colorado. He's from Denver, and he led the Colorado Buffaloes to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 28 years in 1997. And then he was selected by the Celtics in the 97 draft. He was the 3rd overall pick. In the history of the NBA, 148 players have been selected for 5 or more All-Star teams. And out of all of those 148 eligible players, only 12 have not been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Also, 33 players have won the Finals MVP trophy, and only 2 eligible have not been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I think Chauncey's got a great shot to get in. I projected a 9.6. I'm actually a little bewildered on getting a 9.2 on this one. So another thing to note is these are thick. These are square bound, okay, as the SI presents often are. And this is thick. This is a thick issue. I'm assuming that it's a preview of all the teams, has in-depth preview of all the NBA teams going into the season. So it's very thick, but really I didn't see hardly any issues on it. Surprised that it got a 9.2, but honestly, it doesn't make a big difference to me because once again, this is a Pop 1. It's the only one graded. It's the highest out there. I've never seen another one raw or graded, period. So I think this is super rare, and I think this is a pretty cool collectible. And I've spent way too much time talking about this Chauncey Billups, but that's what I do. Sometimes I ramble. All right, you guys know how much I'm into this hobby and all the details. So yeah. Chauncey Billups, pretty cool start, and hopefully you learned something right there with the Sports Illustrated annual issues. I think those are underrated. I'm telling you right now, you might want to check out some of those covers that are available. All right, moving on. Issue number 2. I'll try to move at a little bit of a faster pace. We're gonna go with a cover that I have shared before that I have another copy of, and that would be a Sports Illustrated China of Novak Djokovic. Now, this is the other one. There, I think of these 10, you're going to see CGC graded higher than what I projected on 8 of the 10. These first 2 are the only ones where I missed on the downside. So the Billups, I projected a 9.6 and I got a 9.2. This Novak, I predicted an 8.0 and I got a 7.0. I'm a little bewildered by this one too. I think I'm probably going to crack this one and resubmit it. I don't really understand the 7.0. And the graders notes to me don't really add up to a 7.0 either. But anyway, this is a pretty big and underrated cover, in my opinion. This is the only Sports Illustrated cover for Novak Djokovic. He did have one other cover appearance on an issue of Sports Illustrated Africa in 2011, but he was a small portion of that cover. He was one of 11 other athletes. It was like a year in review of 2011 cover. So he was on that with a bunch of other people. This is the only Novak Djokovic cover. Okay, this is the only cover that's dedicated to Novak Djokovic on any of the versions of Sports Illustrated. And as much as I'm not a fan, I'm a Rafael Nadal fan, but it's hard to argue at this current moment that he's not the greatest male tennis player of all time. He's now the leader in majors. He's got, I think, 24. Nadal has 22. Federer has 20. I mean, the dude is like ridiculously good. Now, it's frustrating to me that CGC will not put first Novak Djokovic cover. This is the second time I've asked for it, and the second time they have denied me on that. Maybe when I crack and resubmit this, I'll get it a third time. There have only been 3 copies of this graded. There's this 7. There's an 8.5, which I own. There's also a 9.4. So pretty rare cover of possibly the tennis GOAT, right? So that's a cool one. That's a good one. Although I'm disappointed with the grade, I'm going to send that one in. I'm going to get a higher grade than the 7.0. I guarantee you. Mark my words. All right. Number three. Number three. Let's see, I'm getting a little blurry on the camera. Let's do that. And I'm back. All right. Here, we're going 1989. Montana, Magic, Gretzky, 3 superstars, 9.0. Love this. I projected an 8.5. Love to see the 9.0. This issue came in at number 33 on my top covers for the 1980s. Montana was on 13 covers. Magic was on 29 covers. Gretzky was on 15 covers. Gretzky and Montana each won 4 championships. Magic won 5 championships. So it says they dominated the 80s, and there's no doubt about that. The only other athlete, I kind of feel bad for Bird getting left out of here, but Magic did win more titles in the 80s. Pop reports on this one. There are 9 graded in newsstand. There are 2 8.5s. There are this is the only 9.0. There's 5 9.2s, and then there's 1 9.4, which is the leader. Sales, a 9.2 sold in September of 2023 for $250. So there you go. I like that one a lot. Pretty cool. I'm going to make a little point about this one, though. There's lots of covers out there that feature multiple athletes. Sometimes people may tend to think that, if you have a cover that has like multiple big-time athletes, that increases the value of a cover. That's possible. I'm not necessarily saying that's not true. Is it possible that this particular cover is more valuable because it has Gretzky, Magic, and Montana than if it was maybe just a Gretzky cover or just a Magic cover? Maybe. But my counterpoint to that is most people like to collect individual athletes. I like to collect Kobe Bryant. I would much rather have a Kobe Bryant cover than one that has Kobe, LeBron, and Michael. That's just me personally. I almost feel like in order for this to be ultra collectible, you have to have someone who is a big time fan of all 3. That's just my opinion. Now, I don't think it takes away from the coolness of this, but if someone were to argue that this is a more valuable or collectible issue because it has all 3 on there, I may differ on that a little bit. Just a thought. Okay. Moving on to number 4 out of 10. We're going to hit up our second SI China of the day. And speaking of my guy, Kobe Bryant, look at this beauty right here. 9.0 Kobe Bryant, SI China. I projected an 8.0. This is from 2008. And you might recognize this cover. You should recognize this cover because this exact cover photo was used on a US Weekly version. And in fact, the US Weekly version was a variant. It was a 1 of 6 variant. And so I know myself, I have talked before about how the US Sports Illustrated cover with this image is, in my opinion, probably the rarest Kobe cover and the most collectible cover of Kobe besides his first cover, because it's a 1 of 6 variant. Now, the China version, this one that I'm holding in my hand, this was not a variant. This was the only Chinese cover released on November 5th, 2008. And the SI China did do variant covers. They had other issues that were variants, but this one was not in China. Okay. Okay, and this was one of, well, first off, I projected an 8.0, so 9.0. Great. Thank you, CGC. There have been 2 graded of this SI China cover. There's a 7.0, and there is now my 9.0. So this is a pop 1, none higher. How about that? Love it. That's the second top one, none higher in this batch. Not too shabby through 4 mags. All right, let's look at number 5. It's a big time cover here. This is from 1987. And it is the Michael Jordan Pictures 87 cover. I projected a 7.0. I got a 7.0. So this one I hit right on the head. And I want to also say here recently, I have been majorly conservative on my projections because I started off when I first got in this hobby being very conservative, although that was probably more just like being uneducated and being more used to sports cards grading, which I think is a little more strict. But then there for a short period, I got a couple boxes back in a row where like CGC was just absolutely annihilating me compared to my projections, and it really sucked. It was a terrible feeling. So I made a decision that I was going to go back to being ultra conservative, but I was going to be like even more intentional about it. So now, whenever I project a grade here on my recent boxes, usually my projection is like the low end of what I think it could come back at. And so I send it off at that, and then whenever it comes back higher, I'm like super stoked. And this box that worked out. That I know that this one is a 7, and that's what I projected, so it's no big deal. But the rest of them we're about to look at, like, man, it feels pretty dang good. So you're gonna see that in a second. But anyway, this is Michael's 5th cover. This was a photo shoot done in Lisle, Illinois, because that's where Michael was that day doing a kids camp. And Walter Hughes, a super legendary photographer for Sports Illustrated, he went to a parking lot. He painted one entire side of the parking lot this blue color, painted the other side of the parking lot red, because he had no idea if Michael Jordan was going to show up wearing his red jersey or his white jersey. And if he had worn his white jersey, this cover would have been red in the background. They were going to take this picture over the red parking lot. And so Walter Hughes actually rented a cherry picker for the day so he could take the shot from up above. And another kind of little weird quirk was they couldn't find a portable basketball goal. They ended up having to like get one shipped in from driven in from like St. Louis or something. I can't remember what the story was. It was really, they could not find a portable basketball goal anywhere to set up in the parking lot for this picture. So let's see here. There are 26 newsstand copies graded. This is the first time I've ever owned this one. At the 7.0 level, it's a pop 3, 18 copies graded higher, and there are 2 9.6s. Those are the highest ones. And sales, there was an 8.0 sold in November of 2023 for $156. So this isn't, not a ton of value to this, maybe $100 or so, but iconic cover, and happy to add this one to my personal collection. There's not a single slab in this box, I think, that I'm planning on selling. We'll see what happens when that Djokovic comes back after I crack and resubmit, because like I said, I do own another one of that, but that's one I think could grow in value too. Usually if it's an issue that I think can grow in value, I'm not selling, and I don't think I'm selling any of these in this box. All right, here we go. This is number 6, right? This is a banger right here. I was stoked about this one. Look at this. Michael Jordan Sky High 9.0. That's a beauty. That is a beauty. This is from 1988. So that Pictures 87 cover we just saw, that's Jordan's 5th cover. This is Jordan's 6th cover. And this is kind of where it ends for me. To me, the first 6 covers of Jordan are ultra collectible. In fact, I would say that covers 1 and covers 3 are ultra collectible, like elite collectible. But then his 2nd cover in the USA jersey, and then his 4th cover, which is One Man Gang, his 5th cover, which is Picture 87, and then the 6th cover, Sky High, those to me are still in the ultra collectible category. Once you start getting beyond that, in my opinion, this is 100% my own personal opinion, some of the Jordan covers start to feel a little watered down for me, and they kind of run together. There's so many of them, especially in the 90s. There's still a few more in the 80s that are pretty good, but once you start getting those Jordan covers in the 90s, it's just like bang, 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 week after week after week, and it's just like, there's some great ones, but they run together for me. The 80s Jordan issues are really where it's at, in my opinion. So there's a couple interesting things going on with this cover. I projected an 8.5, got the 9.0. Thank you, CGC. This is Brad Daugherty. He was Michael Jordan's teammate at North Carolina. He was actually the #1 pick of the 1986 NBA draft. By the way, the #2 pick of that draft was Len Bias, who of course died. And that was a really weak draft. I was looking because I was thinking, man, Brad Daugherty at #1 draft pick, that's kind of weak. But looking back at the draft, it was not a strong draft at all. There were 3 Hall of Famers in that draft, but 2 of those 3 are more like international Hall of Famers. Arvydas Sabonis was drafted at #24. He's in the Hall of Fame primarily for his overseas career, not so much his NBA career. Dennis Rodman was draft pick #27, and then Drazen Petrovic was draft pick #60. Those were the 3 Hall of Famers in that draft class. And Brad Daugherty did he did make 5 All-Star teams. So solid career, very good career. And then technically, this is Scottie Pippen's first cover. Obviously it's not a Scottie Pippen cover, so to speak, but it is Scottie Pippen's first appearance on the cover of Sports Illustrated. There's no denying that. Very clearly, Scottie Pippen there in the background. That's a young Scottie. This is Scottie's rookie year. He didn't even start a single game this year. He averaged 20 minutes per game and 8 points per game. All right, so this issue has been graded 24 times. There are 2 9.0s and there are 5 copies graded higher, 4 9.4s and 1 9.6. So super stoked with this 9.0. A 9.0 sold in October of 2022 for $300 on eBay. A 9.0 also sold on Heritage Auctions in 2021 for $900. So big difference there. In those 2 sales. They were 1 year apart. One was on eBay, one was on Heritage. Who knows what this is now, but I think it's ultra collectible, especially at this grade. So pretty excited about that one. All right, moving on. We have, oh, you know what? I lied. There were 11. There were 11 slabs in this box. And so we've got 5 left, people. We got 5 left. How about that bonus for you? I know you just got really excited about that. All right. If you're a savvy collector, you might recognize the back. This is a big issue. This is a big one right here. This is a key issue. This is Tom Brady's first cover, The Natural from 2002, and we got a CGC 9.0. I projected a 9.0. Let's see here. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do it this way. There's 2 of these. I got 2 Brady first covers in this batch. How about that? And this one is a 9.4. We got a 9.0 and a 9.4. I projected both of them at a 9.0. So definitely happy that one of them came back in a 9.4. That's pretty awesome, especially because I already own 1 copy of this in a 9.2. So I now own 3 Brady first covers, a 9.0, a 9.2, and a 9.4. The 9.2 is in one of the old slabs. Here's what's really cool. I bought these 2 issues right here combined for a total of $50. This was a major steal of a find. I bought these from a gentleman off of Facebook Marketplace, and he was advertising it as NFL 2002 NFL draft guide or something. And it was, so like the main picture it was like a folder. It wasn't even a draft guide. It was like a draft day program, I think it was. And it was a folder for the 2002 NFL draft. I think it was 2002, maybe it was 01 or 2000, whatever year Brady was drafted. That might have been 2000, but it was a folder for that draft. And then you opened it up and there was a sheet that like listed the agenda, like the order of events for that draft night. Like honestly, not even like collectible or exciting at all. It's just like a printed sheet of paper with the agenda. But then inside each sleeve of that cover, there were 2 copies of this Tom Brady newsstand first cover that were like in really good condition. And so I had seen that browsing through the pictures, and actually in the pictures, it only even looked to me like there was one. I didn't know until I opened this up that there were two. So I thought I was getting a major steal getting one of these for $50. I got two for $50, and both of them come back higher than a 9.0. So yeah, I'll take that any day. Pretty awesome. There have now been 104 newsstand copies of this issue graded, which actually is a lot higher than I realized. That's jumped up a lot in the past year. There's 18 9.4s with 25 graded higher. There's only 6 9.8s. This is a really tough one to get in a 9.8. Not very many of these sell above 9.0. I think that's because people realize this is one that you need to hold on to. So a 9.2 sold in June of 23 for $710 on eBay. A 9.2 sold in April of 2023 for $999 on eBay. And then a 9.2 sold in October of 22 on Heritage Auctions for $2,100. Those are the only 3 sales in the past 2 years of a 9.0 or higher of this. So that brings up a really good point. We talk a lot about how some of the pop counts are so low on these compared to sports cards, and that's why there's a lot of value. Another thing to consider is not only are pop counts low, but they don't come to market very often. A lot of these key issues do not come to market because people realize that there's not many of them and they want to keep them. What did I just say? I mean, there's 18 9.4s, and then there's 6 9.8s. That means there's 19 9.6s. None of those have come up for sale in the past 2 years. None. There's been 3 9.2s in the past 2 years that have come up for sale. So that's another reason why there's value to these. They don't come to market very often. And so when they do, it's a battle for them. And actually, I forgot one thing. I told you I own a 9, a 9.2, and a 9.4 now. I also own a 7.0 in the SI Mexico version. I don't want to forget that one. That one says El Natural. That one's pretty sweet. All right. So there we go. 2 Brady's to add to my long-term hold collection. It's definitely one I think will rise in value over the years, although that's already a pretty strong value. You know, the 9.2s selling between 700 and 2200 in the past couple of years. Okay, so we just knocked out 2 issues, which means we've got 3 left. They're 3 big times. They're 3 first covers. A lot of first covers in here. This is from 2014. This is Lionel Messi, first cover, 8.0. Now, how about this, people? I projected a 5.0, and I got an 8.0. That is amazing. And the reason I projected a 5, the front cover of this is in pretty good shape. The front cover is probably in 9.0 condition. Couple little spine ticks, a little tiny color break up here. Probably a 9.0 up here. But on the back, there was a paper tear from where a piece of tape had been. And that was very clearly identified in the eBay listing. Actually, I'd been watching this one for a long time. And in the the second game, after Argentina's second game in the World Cup in 2022, I'm like, you know what? I have a feeling that Messi is about to up his status even more. And so I went ahead and bought this. I bought this raw for $100, knowing that it had this tear on the back, thinking that it was going to grade pretty poorly. Like I said, I projected a 5, but knowing that this is such a collectible issue that I wanted it anyway. And so I'm stoked that it came back in 8.0. Apparently, a paper tear or a paper lift, I think is how they described it in the grader's notes, is not nearly as big of a deduction as I would have thought it was. This is a 1 out of 4 variant, which makes it even more collectible. So only about 25% of the normal print run was printed of this Messi first cover in newsstand in 2014. This came in as my number 2 cover for the entire decade of the 2010s. The only one that I listed ahead of it was Steph Curry's first cover. And honestly, I was my inkling was pretty good about Messi in the World Cup, because he went on to lead Argentina to the victory, and he definitely upped his status to now. A lot of people are saying he may be the greatest of all time. Him and Pele are pretty much at this point the main two in that discussion. I think he's definitely distanced himself from Cristiano Ronaldo. So only 13 newsstand copies of this graded. What does that tell you? I mean, when you're looking at, LeBron James' first cover, 300 newsstand copies graded, or even Tom Brady's that we just looked at, over 100 newsstand graded. And you got Lionel Messi. This issue's from 2014, so it's 12 years newer than the LeBron and the Brady first covers. And then this is a GOAT. I get it. Soccer is not as popular as basketball and football in the US, but still only 13 graded. That tells you how rare these are. That tells you that, there just weren't a lot of people buying and saving newsstand Sports Illustrateds back in 2014. 13 graded. This is a pop 2 with 10 higher. So most of them are higher than my 8.0, but I do not care. Like I said, I was going to be happy with a 5. There's one 9.8 out there. That would be a pretty valuable issue. A 9.2 sold in November of 2023 for $2,200 on eBay. 7.5 sold in October for $300. So there you go. Pretty stoked. That one's going in the long-term hold collection as well. Let's keep moving. 2 left. Big time first covers. Great returns. CGC making my dreams come true with these. All right. This is another one you might recognize the back. This is the Mike Trout first cover. 9.6. Let's go. I freaking love 9.6s. I'm hyped about this 9.6. I already owned this cover at an 8.5, and I projected this one at an 8.5. I'm going to be honest. I am shocked that I got a 9.6. I mean, there's a pretty big spine tick with color break up here. And then when I look at the back, there's a little bit of color rub, and there's another bad spine tick. Thank you to this grader. 9.6. That's freaking awesome. I did not expect this at all. What an upgrade. Actually, my 8.5 is up there on my bookshelf over my shoulder. I may throw that one up for sale now, but also I might keep it. We'll see. I don't know. 85 newsstand copies graded of Mike Trout's first cover. This is a pop 19. There are 19 9.6s, and there are only 7 9.8s. A 9.8 sold in August of 2022 on Heritage for $9,600. A 9.6 sold on eBay in July of 2023 for $286. Quite a drop off there from that 9.6 to that 9.8 sale. But long-term hold, PC, just like all these others. Freaking sick cover. Sick grade. And we got one left. You guys know I usually like to save the best for last. This is definitely the best one, in my opinion, in this batch. This is freaking huge, especially for a 49ers fan like me, lifelong 49ers fan. Look at this freaking stunner. Joe Montana, first cover, 1982, 9.0 newsstand. Freaking love this. Man, this is awesome. As a 49ers fan, I couldn't be more excited about this one. I projected a 7.0. So once again, my ultra conservative grading is just putting me on cloud 9, because when you're thinking you're going to get a 7.0 and all of a sudden you open that puppy up and it's a 9, a 9.0 Montana first cover. Are you freaking kidding me? I wasn't expecting that. I didn't remember a single thing about this magazine. You think, when I put 7.0 in my spreadsheet and I send this off and I get it back 2 or 3 months later, do you think I'm thinking in my head, oh, you know what? There was a flaw here and a flaw there, and yeah, I remember why I put 7.0. No, I don't remember any of those details. All I remember is, oh, I think this is going to come back as 7.0, and when it's actually a 9, incredible. And gosh dang, I'm excited about this. Joe Montana was like the football GOAT before Brady went nuts with his Super Bowls. This was the first of his 4 Super Bowl wins. They defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in 1982. I went back and looked. I bought this copy raw off of eBay in August of 2022 for $82. I think if I had known it was going to grade a 9.0, I would have sent it in a lot sooner, but I was expecting it to be more of a mid grade, like I said, a 7.0 or maybe an 8. But thank you, CGC, for the 9.0. There's 58 newsstand copies graded. This is a pop 5 with only 6 copies graded higher. So this one's up there. There has never been a sale of this Joe Montana first cover in newsstand at 9.0 or higher. The best comps I could find was an 8.0 subscription sold in July of 23 for $250. That's an 8.0 subscription. And then a 6.0 newsstand sold in November of 2023 for $120. But I could not find anything ever 9.0 or higher of this. Man, are you kidding me? Joe Montana first cover 9.0. Let's freaking go. That is moving way up on the ranks of my top slabs and favorite slabs. So, all right, that's it. A lot of rambling, lots of details. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not yet, please subscribe to this channel. Appreciate likes and comments. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time.